Welcome to another episode of Raining Cats and Dogs, you guys. I'm your host, Henry Jansen, sports writer for the Kirksville Daily Express. With no episode last week and only raining dogs this afternoon, we apologize for that, but we will be back to our regularly slated Truman and Kirksville High School schedule next week moving forward until our final episode will air for the year in the first week of May. This evening, though, we will be joined by Ron Ferrill, Truman State University softball coach, and later on, Tyler Hudlow, assistant baseball coach for the Bulldogs, will be joining us. Ron, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, Coach. We appreciate it. The Dogs are 3-5 in the conference, 11-21 overall, but are coming off of two huge wins versus Upper Iowa that you guys needed to get back on the right track a little bit. Talk about this past weekend.
Yeah, our girls really had a great weekend, honestly. I mean, record shows 2-2, but we had probably our best hitting performance of the year in our first game against Lewis. Came back to be a loss. It was a slugfest both ways, but we put up 11 runs, put up several home runs, and at least offensively, we really looked the part. Game two, maybe one of our more complete games of the year. Lewis, perennial, top seed in the conference, or one of them, I guess. I got a great pitching performance that game out of Maddie Cleaver, and unfortunately, we had a little defensive miscommunication. The first inning gave them one run. We jumped on them for two, and it sat that way for a long time. Maddie kept putting up zeros, and we went into the seventh inning up 2-1. And then just unfortunately some CNI hits, and then Maddie got a big strikeout with the bases loaded of their three batter who tormented us all day. And then their four batter, who's one of the best in the conference. We had nowhere to put her, and I thought Maddie made a great pitch, but unfortunately she got us a ground ball. But unfortunately it got through between first and second, and they scored two runs and beat us there in the bottom of the seventh inning after what I thought was a really solid outing. I was real concerned about what the next day might bring, just because, we got right on the bus after those games, drove 3.5 hours to Dubuque, Iowa, spent the night to get up early the next morning and drive another hour and a half to get to Upper Iowa. They play on a dirt field. We've been playing on a lot of turf. Just all the travel, and being on the road, that's a grinding trip. It was sunny and 70 something on Saturday, and then we get up to Upper Iowa, and we played in the sleet and a little bit of snow. So as a coach, you just know there's a lot of variables there that your team could use as excuses, but they did just the opposite of that. They played sensational on both sides of the ball, and just really handled business on Sunday and got two wins, kind of seemingly in cruise control on that day.
I'm glad that you opened by talking about the Lewis games, because even though they didn't go necessarily the way that you wanted, you were very encouraged by a pitching performance. Talk about a little bit about carrying that momentum, even though coming off of a loss, carrying that momentum into the following day and forgetting about it and moving on.
Well, I think the big thing is just we've had trouble scoring this year, which has been weird. We're the top offense in the conference last year, return a lot of players. Thought, we'd be very offensive this year, and we've had some struggles. We made a few tweaks last week to some hitters, and then going into Saturday, we made a big adjustment to our batting order that same people, but different spot. You wouldn't think it'd be a very big deal, but the people I moved around had huge days, and there were people, one of them in particular, Emily Wood, had been struggling a little for us, and she's our big go-to middle of the order player that we expect to get us RBIs, and she'd been struggling a little bit. We moved her up to the leadoff spot and dropped Cassie, who's been our leading hitter, down to the 3 spot. And Emily opens up the game on the first pitch against Lewis with a home run, and really never looked back. She had 2 home runs and a double in that game. Cassie had a bunch of RBIs. On day 2, Cassie went 5 for 5 in one game, leading the charge. And it seemed to ignite things, and just maybe a confidence boost, and then a combination of the adjustments maybe helping that. But at the end of the day, against Lewis, we were able to sit there and talk about how much better we looked offensively, how much better our approaches were, how I thought some of the adjustments worked. The girls saw that we got a great pitching performance from Maddie, and she's been injured for a big portion of the season, so we really haven't had her healthy, and this is the first that was the first day she's been able to pitch really healthy in weeks. And so when the girls saw that, I think just a combination of making sure they saw how well they did offensively, saw that the pitching was coming on, and try to carry that in day 2, and then, like I said, I thought they did a very good job of just that.
From a coaching standpoint, as far as getting this offense rolling a little bit, Cassie Smith and Wood, you already mentioned. Cassie Smith is hitting 491 right now, certainly doing her part. How do you mid-season get these bats rolling?
Well, it's been it's been a challenge that's challenged me and every part of my coaching and my philosophies and thoughts and we've just had to kind of lately go back to the drawing board a little bit, go back to basics and fundamentals for a couple people, and that seemed to work for a few. The couple remaining ones, we need to make a big jump. It's way more mental than physical, so we're trying to battle that, but there's just no magic wand for that. If I could tell you how to fix a batter having confidence and mental issues, I'd be rich because everybody would be paying me to do that. So hopefully, I think a big part of it, hopefully, is just that you know success breeds success, and hopefully a couple of those girls see the girls that made the adjustments, like Emily this week, and see that there was success there, and just combination of the winning, seeing their teammates have success, seeing their teammates making adjustments and having success. Hopefully that leads into this week, and we will feed off that on our hitting practices this week, going Wednesday through Friday, and we'll find out next Saturday if I'm on the right track or not.
3-5 in the conference right now, but a ton of softball left to be played.
Oh, we're in a good position. 3 of the top 4 teams are in our rearview mirror, and we've only faced one of the bottom teams, as it stands right now. There's a lot of ball left for them as well. But McKendree came in right off the bat, ranked, I believe, 18th when we faced them, and we lost by 1 to them and was very competitive in another game. We were right there. You go face UIS, who's extremely strong this year, returns a lot of seniors, older squad, get a split with them, which is, what we needed to do over there on the road. Now you got Lewis behind you. Unfortunately, we didn't pull that second one out and get the split, but they're still in your rear view mirror. So now if we can take care of business this upcoming Saturday against Quincy, we're sitting right back in the middle of the pack with a lot of softball left.
And what are these ladies kind of telling each other? Do they have that same philosophy that just once the bats get hot, they understand how much season is left and they're ready to roll?
Well, we're hoping. I mean, they sure finished Sunday in great spirits, which is, all I can tell you right now. Monday's our down day, and it was a great bus ride home. They seemed in great spirits after the game and on the bus. So we'll see when we get back to work tomorrow how motivated they seem. But all indications right now is, at least as a team, they feel real good. Like I said, we've got a couple people still doubting themselves in the hitting, and we have to keep working on that. They're a tight knit group. They're very close, so they're constantly trying to encourage each other. So, like I said earlier, just hopefully those girls that have made the physical and even mental adjustments, they can help that mentality with those other players. Emery coming out of her shell this week, we hope, is going to be a big thing for some of them because, like you said, she's on pace, to be an all region, and who knows, all American player if she can hold pace. But the players do look up as much to Emily as her, and the fact that Emily caught fire too, and we have that two-headed monster back rolling, then hopefully some of them other girls want to follow suit.
Look ahead for us to this weekend. What you guys have coming up, and just the handful of series that you have circled on the calendar.
Yeah, this weekend is actually coming at a perfect time, I think, for us health-wise. most of this early season, we've had as many as 8 girls out injured at a time, everything from concussions to torn shoulders on recoveries. It's I've never seen a season like it, and that's definitely not an excuse, but it just, going back to this weekend, this last weekend was our first one where we were close to healthy. We were able to get a couple girls in the lineup for the first time for the season, and start battling their nerves. We've got all week, open to work here, and then next weekend, usually you have 2 double headers. This is our bye week, so we only have 1 double header this week, and it's against Quincy. So if we can build up and prepare properly for that and get a couple W's there at home, then we have a rest week, before building for the rest of the season. So great timing. Excited that it's at home and not on the road. Quincy's a team that we haven't got scout in depth. We start scouting them a little more tomorrow, but we've seen and we feel like we stack up well against. But as we learned last year, every single game matters, and you can't give away a game that you feel like you should win. So we need to on Saturday.
Highlight some of these young ladies who had to step in, and it's just the nature. Injuries are just the nature of sports, and it's just unfortunate sometimes. But some of these ladies who had to step into some roles, and what you might have learned from some of the other girls on the roster.
Sure, yeah, a couple that stand out are a couple freshmen, Katie Pilchard, Riley Reddig. Katie, we knew, she was coming in to share time at catcher with Kylie, our starter, building her for the future. We knew she'd impact the program a little bit right away, but you didn't know if it'd be an everyday thing. With our third baseman going down injured earlier in the year, she's been our primary starting third baseman and sharing some time at catcher. Now she's kept creeping up in the batting order. She's been at fifth for most of the season, but we made an adjustment yesterday, putting her in the cleanup spot, and it paid off. She had a big day for us, and she's like a little pit bull at third base, and or bulldog maybe would be a better term, I guess, at third base. And then she's proven herself to be consistent bat in the middle of the order, so you can't not have her in the lineup. And then when our starting second baseman broke her hand in the first game of the season, we had to rotate through a little bit there. But another freshman, Riley Reddig, kind of stepped up in there, and she's proven to be pretty invaluable. It's pretty hard to make a lineup without her at this point in time. Another one would be Avery Taylor, who, yeah, we expected to be our cleanup hitter, power hitter. Really honestly thought she'd be an all-region hitter this year, and to be quite honest, she's one of the ones struggling a little bit with her hitting and her confidence with hitting. But why I bring her up in this situation is, we've needed, because of some sickness and injuries, and with Maddie Cleaver going down there for a while, injured with a concussion, we needed Avery to all of a sudden start pitching more than we expected. And Avery really elevated her game, and we found a way to combine her with Jada. And in the conference season, I think Avery's ERA is under 2 now, 1.9 something, I believe, last I had looked. So Avery has found another way to really impact the team, even though her bat's still a work in progress.
Very good, Coach. Coach Ron Ferrill, Truman State University softball head coach. Anything else that you want to mention before I let you go?
No, I think, even though the season hasn't gone quite where we wanted it to be, we've got a couple or wins over ranked teams. We've been right there with the top teams in the conference and seen we can play with them so far. I do think we're primed to maybe make a bit of a run here. We do have a cancer awareness game coming up, pretty important in April, Senior Day, as well as Military Appreciation Day, where we're actually going to honor a former coach of Truman State, who was a military veteran that recently passed away. So I guess just maybe be on the lookout for some upcoming things that we have at home through the month of April, and we'd be excited to have people out to watch us.
Very good, Ron. I appreciate it. Thanks for joining us this evening.
Absolutely.
And it's going to be great to be back home this weekend.
Yes, it is for sure.
We'll see you this weekend. Thanks again.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Now I'm joined by Tyler Hudlow, assistant coach for the Truman State University baseball team. Coach, very nice to have you here.
Oh, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Appreciate you joining us. Hudlow in his 5th season in this role. You have this talk about since the 2022 season to now, just developing and learning as a coach, and how your journey has kind of been.
The team has changed a lot. When I first got here, we were very senior led. We had, because of COVID, I think we had 17 seniors the year I got here. So we've kind of went the other direction now. This year we have 3 seniors, and we're a very young team that's trying to find our way. We have a good group of freshmen that are playing daily, and then a good sophomore class and junior class that we're looking to build towards the future. But I'd say that's the biggest change in my time here. When I first stepped foot on campus, is there was a lot of seniors, a lot of older guys that kind of knew what to expect, and I was new coming in, so I learned from them, and now it's kind of flipped in comparison.
And the Dogs, a very young team coming into at the time of this cast, 7-18, 1-11 in the conference. But as you mentioned, a ton of reason for excitement about the future, not just in the years to come, but even watching your young guys develop this season. You know, talk about that young core, that young group, and highlight some of those guys.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very exciting young team. We could very easily, our record could be flip-flopped. We've been in a lot of close games, especially early on, where it's been one inning here and there that could have been a completely different outcome of the game. We've talked about that a lot as a coaching staff and as a team. So we're in a weird spot where our record isn't where we think it should be, but we could very easily be around that 500 mark and feeling a lot better about ourselves as a team. But the freshman class is really special. I mean, at the top of it, Nick Stoyer, middle infielder who only got to play one game this weekend because he fouled a ball off his foot. So that kind of hurt going in throughout the weekend. But going into the weekend, he was leading the GLVC in hitting. He's just a really good player. He's tough-nosed, plays extremely hard. And then Joey Fentress has been swinging a hot bat leading up to this weekend, where he's tied with the team leading home runs as a freshman. And so I'm trying to think of some others. Tyler Tal has been really good for us all year. His average isn't right where we want it to be or where he doesn't want it to be, but he does a lot of the intangible things that we love. He's just a hard-nosed guy that does every little thing correctly, and he just hasn't seen the outcomes as far as average yet.
So you guys have 3 guys right now batting above 300, and a handful of other guys who are knocking right there on the door. In most of the games you're talking about that have been close and competitive, they've been high-scoring games. So what needs to change, just pitching wise, defense wise, to keep you guys in some of those games that you've dropped in the past handful of weeks?
I think the biggest thing is just limiting innings that kind of blur out of control. If you look at it where it's one inning, it's a 6 spot, or an 8 spot, a 12 spot for the other team onto that. How we fix that is probably we just have to stir up. I think the negative energy kind of overtakes it. It's like almost a here we go moment again, where since we're still so young and we're still learning to win as a team, I think being able to flush those innings and find a way to limit them when our pitchers are struggling with the zone, our defensive guys, I think they feel like they have to make the play instead of they get to make the play. And so they put a little added pressure on themselves. But all in all, I mean, it's a team game. We had a couple errors this weekend in game 4, and Danny Lindsay pitched his best game of the year, where he really competed against a tough matchup team for him. So that was encouraging to see, just to see him step up and help our team out. We just have to do a better job of limiting damage and limiting those big innings and not putting so much pressure on us that we have to make the play.
Before we get into sharking a little bit about a tough stretch that you guys have coming up as far as the opponents that you will face is concerned, one thing that I'm always curious about is how do you and head coach Dan Davis kind of synergize? What are your roles? What goes into that two-headed monster?
Well, since it's just the two of us for a whole team, we both go in every direction. He's obviously the head coach and pitching coach, and I work primarily with the hitters and infielders. But if I see something on the pitching side of things that he doesn't see, or he asks my opinion, things like that. And he will come in and talk with our hitters and things like that. So we work extremely well. He's the mechanic side of hitting up to me more than anything. He's talks more approach and things like that with the hitters. But as far as our approach goes, it's pretty similar between D's and I. We both want to push the issue offensively. We want fast guys on base. We want to put pressure on defense. We've had the most success this year. We've been able to get guys on, and we were stealing a lot of bases. So he definitely gives me the reins of running the offense on a day-to-day basis. And I think part of the reason why he trusts me so much to do that is because we have the same philosophy when it comes to the offensive game. But we're just, with two coaches, we have to cover everything and to make sure our guys get the best experience and the development that they need.
Always, one thing that I've found hosting this program is that always a second set of eyes can't hurt. Even when it comes to pitching, which is Dan's forte, as you mentioned. Look ahead for us to Lewis this weekend, and then finally back home versus UIS, and then a Drury series. Just what you guys, the kind of gauntlet you guys have coming up over the course of the foreseeable future.
Yeah, going to the Ace is always tough. It's a long bus ride by Romeoville, Illinois. Their field is kind of a little wonky. It's one of the more unique fields in the conference, I'd say. I've only been there once in my 4 years previous, and then it ended up being a split 2 years ago with them. Last year they were one of the top teams in the conference and made a run out of regional. So we know we're gonna be good. It's a small field, but we're going to have to keep the ball down as a pitching staff, and we're gonna have to make plays on the defensive side of things. And I think offensively, the field kind of plays up to what we want to do, is hit balls in the gap and run a little bit, and then short porch to left and right where some balls will leave the yard and bring some energy. But after that, UIS, they're a really good team. I think they split with Drury this weekend, or they maybe won a game with Drury this last weekend. But historically, they're one of the better teams in the conference. They have some really good arms, and they are historically one of the better teams. And Drury is one of the best teams in the country. At one point, they were up to 18 in some polls and things like that. So we hadn't really dug deep into their scouting reports yet, but that's kind of just what we've heard, is they can really swing it. So it's going to be a good test here at Bulldog Park.
Just in general, like with these young guys playing teams that are heavily senior led and have been nationally ranked and things like that, just from a coaching standpoint, how do you keep these guys mellow and just go play your game?
I think that's the part where we're still trying to learn how to stay even keel instead of riding the highs and riding the lows. I think our three seniors do a really good job of maintaining that level for our guys. Tyler Tiemann on the offensive side of things, he's one of our best players this year. He's hitting extremely well, having his best year of his career right now, and he's definitely a big guy that is a team leader for our offensive younger guys. And then Isaac Epp, who's been a 4-year starter for us. He's as easy, like as cool as a cucumber. His resting heartbeat might be like 36. Like nothing seems to phase that guy. But he also works his butt off every single day. So they're definitely getting the young guys get to see his work ethic on a daily basis and just kind of see how he goes about his business. And so I think that's the biggest thing. And where they have to learn from those upperclassmen our upperclassmen are doing a really good job of teaching them on a daily basis of how to go about things. And it's going to lead to more success in the future.
And to that point, even though you are so young, it doesn't mean that you don't have great leadership to kind of develop along the way. What are your realistic hopes and aspirations for the second half of the season as we move deeper into the GLVC slate?
I think right now we just have to look at it 1 weekend at a time. We're definitely our goal going into the season was to obviously everyone wants to win a national championship. That's the number one goal for every team in the country, right? But to do that, you have to get to the conference tournament first. So that was our big goal as a team, and right now it's going to be difficult to get there, but it's definitely open to get there. We play teams that are going to be ahead of us, and if we just take care of business, we still have that chance. But I think the biggest thing is taking it one day at a time, one pitch at a time, and just go out there, play as hard as we can, and build a brick for the future of the program as well.
The past handful of years, when you guys have had some hot streaks in the back end of some seasons, stringing some wins together in a row, when we get to early to mid-April, you guys have consistently had a stretch where the wins start piling up together. What has gone into those, and what's it going to take with this group this season for a run like that as we get later into the year?
We feel like we're on the cusp of that run. We thought going into this weekend we could feel the practices were really good leading up to this weekend. And we lost a couple tough games at the beginning of the weekend, and then it kind of snowballed after that. But I mean, it's guys not giving up. It's them showing up every single day, putting work in, and they're going to see that reward. These guys are just relentless. That's been kind of a team motto all season, that they're just a resilient bunch of guys, where things don't seem to phase them as much as other teams in the past. So if we can just stay together as a team, come in tomorrow, get a lift in, get a good practice in, and just kind of stack those good days, I think we're going to get to the point where we're going to see some of those tight wins instead of losses especially to start the weekend. And then you just win a couple of games, and then everything is contagious, right? Hitting's contagious, pitching is contagious. Everything turns contagious, and in a good way. Right now, it's been in a negative way here recently. So just to stack those good days of work leading up to every weekend and take it day by day.
One last thing before I let you go, Coach. This time of year, what's the recruiting trail been like? Anybody that has shown interest in you, or vice versa? Anybody you got your eyes on?
We did a lot of our work early in recruiting. It seemed like in the summer and in the fall semester, any guy that we wanted, we offered, and they were in. We have a really strong class that we're very high on. So right now it's kind of slowed down for this next year, and we're being such a young team, we don't really have that many needs to fill. But obviously, if we see a guy and fall in love with a guy, if we're getting some video or some talks with the other coaches or some programs we've worked with in the past, that still can happen. And so it's not completely shut off. But right now, we feel like we're in a very good spot in our next year's class.
For you guys as coaches, it is truly a year-round deal. It's always interesting to me to see even mid-season where you guys are at with all those things. Coach Tyler Hudlow, assistant coach for the Truman State University baseball team. Anything else you'd like to add before I leave?
Yeah, just thank you for having us on. We appreciate all you do.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Coach. It has been raining cats and dogs, just raining dogs this week, but we will be back in the full swing of things next week. I have been your host, Henry Jansen, sports writer for the Kirksville Daily Express, and thank you guys always very much for joining us. Have a good afternoon.